I always come back to moments like this in The Lord of the Rings. In films full of orc slaying, ancient prophecies, and enchanted items, these pauses have continued to stay with me longer, especially as the years go by. It's the way characters are shown thinking, or thinking out loud, that's left the loudest impression. But on a recent reading of the books, I was surprised by how restrained the tone felt. The characters felt less outwardly expressive with their emotions, and the imagery of introspection, where characters muse, felt less pronounced.
Riddles in the dark.
Bilbo! Bilbo!
I'm precious.
This raised some questions for me. Why did Jackson reinterpret this way? Why give internal thought such sustained cinematic attention? There are many landmines Jackson could have stepped on when adapting the progenitor of the fantasy genre, but it's a near universal consensus that he threaded the needle really well. Deborah Cartmel, co-author of Adaptations, writes, "Instead of worrying about whether a film is faithful to the original literary text, found in the logocentric belief that there is a single meaning, we read adaptations for their generation of a plurality of meanings. Thus, the intertextuality of the adaptation is our primary concern." What Cartmel argues is that Jackson's adaptation creates new layers of meaning. While some changes may spark debate, others, I think, enrich the legendarium. Today, it's hard for me and many others to separate Gandalf from Sir Ian McKellen's performance, Howard Shore's score for Middle-earth, or emotional realism from Tolkien's narrative. Of these, emotional realism gives us a clue for why Jackson spotlights characters in thought. The books lean into mythic archetypes. Tolkien's elevated prose and mythological aims give rise to philosophical, poetic, and composed characters who embody ideals and maintain decorum. Much of the emotional and moral weight is conveyed through the omniscient narrator. The stakes feel cosmic. Take Aragorn. He enters the narrative resolved in his lineage and purpose, embracing kingship as the destiny long prepared for him. In contrast, the characters in the films are less embodiments of ideals and more framed by human vulnerability. There is greater urgency, such as the intensified presence of the Eye of Sauron. This gives rise to characters who visibly and swiftly oscillate between complex emotions. The emotional and moral weight is conveyed through faces and reaction shots. The stakes are existential. Here, Aragorn openly wrestles with uncertainty about his kingship and the burden of destiny. Together, these changes reveal emotional realism as a tool for audience connection. Contemporary audiences often gravitate toward faster pacing, character-driven narratives, and emotional realism, qualities that can shift how Tolkien's Mythopia is received. In his 9-hour adaptation, Jackson intensifies dramatic stakes to sustain narrative momentum and deepen viewer investment. Rather than limiting virtue to action alone, Jackson explores the internal tensions behind a character's choice. What doubts complicate them? What costs accumulate along the way? How do identities shift in response to crisis? If Tolkien offers a mythic panorama of good versus evil, Jackson emphasizes what it feels like to navigate that struggle from within. But there's another, simpler reason to lean into emotional realism. Cinema, among narrative forms, is uniquely equipped to express it. Its audiovisual grammar allows it to convey tone, atmosphere, and feeling with immediacy. While literature channels emotion through language and a reader's interpretation of that language, cinema conveys it through a direct and immediate appeal to the senses. It's a medium of emotional intensity, and Jackson clearly wants to immerse audiences in a Middle-earth that feels honest. I think that's why I return to those moments so often, the ones where characters are just thinking or thinking out loud. Their musing feels cathartic, revelatory, and, well, honest. They meet their emotions with care, and each pause becomes a slow release of thought and feeling as they search for some deeper understanding about themselves.
Smeagol. What did you call me? That was your name once, wasn't it? A long time ago.
The films include other moments like these, where characters, having undergone some transformation, find themselves confronting memory, identity, and the passage of time. A common thread through them is Jackson's interest in not just the moment of resolution, but the slow, uncertain process of getting there. Each character is coming to understand something about themselves, and the films linger on that process. To Muse is not treated as a trivial act, but a meaningful one.
Frodo must finish this task alone.
He's not alone. Sam went with him.
Did he? Did he indeed? Good. Yes, very good.
When the world hangs in the balance, small acts of introspection take on unexpected significance. Its power lies in characters who pause to reclaim meaning in a landscape threatened by its erasure. We feel the cost of what is being fought for, the survival of Middle-earth, but also the preservation of what gives that survival a purpose. It makes introspection central to the hero's journey, encouraging a constant meditation on the conflict between good and evil. Every pause becomes an opportunity for self-inquiry.
And you trust your king? Your men, my lord, will follow you to whatever end.
In Peter Jackson's The Lord of the Rings films, emotional realism reinterprets Tolkien's narrative while enriching the ongoing dialogue between texts and their interpretations. It aligns with Cartmel's view that these films can remain faithful in spirit while being transformative in execution. Film requires its own emotional register, sometimes something best represented with the character just shown thinking. In this way, the adaptations make the epic feel more accessible, immediate, and in many respects, vivid. Rather than diminishing Tolkien's mythos, these cinematic choices expand it. They offer a new way to inhabit Middle-earth, one that feels emotionally authentic even if it diverges in delivery. For me, there's beauty in this interpretive, introspective space, where characters are allowed to muse, to pause, and to feel deeply. Middle-earth remains a world worth musing on, and I'm glad every time I do.
I'm glad you're back.
So am I, dear boy. So am I.